Everyone in the world judges how good they think they are at different tasks, and people tend to hold overly favorable views of their abilities in these social and intellectual tasks. Two psychologists from Cornell University set out to study this overestimation of ability. David Dunning and Justin Kruger set up a way to examine the relationship between an individual's competence and their confidence in 4 different studies. In each study, they presented participants with tests that assessed their ability in a domain where knowledge, wisdom, or savvy was crucial. The first study was about humor, the second and fourth were about logical reasoning, and the third was about English grammar. Then, after each test, they had the subjects rate how they thought they ranked in ability of the test compared to the rest of the subjects. Across the 4 studies, Dunning and Kruger found that participants scoring in the bottom quartile on the test of humor, grammar, and logic grossly overestimated their test performance and ability. Although their test scores put them in the 12th percentile, they estimated themselves to be in the 62nd. Several analyses linked this miscalibration to deficits in metacognitive skill or the capacity to distinguish accuracy from error. When the individuals improved their skills in these domains, they increased their metacognitive competence, which helped them recognize the limitations of their abilities.
This graph was created to show how the subjects' self-ratings compared to how they actually performed. They found that those who have the slightest bit of experience think that they know it all, represented by the peak at the upper left. Then, with increasing experience, people realize how little they know, how modest their skills really are. Perceptions of ability reach a minimum at the center of the chart due to this, and then they begin to slant upward again, showing confidence level rise as the individual's ability gets better. This graph charts the lines of the subject's actual test scores, predictions of test scores, and the subject's perceived level of mastery, or what they think the level of mastery is, compared to the percentile scored on the given test. Here, you can see how those who scored in the first and second quartiles thought that they would finish only a few percentage points below what they thought the level of mastery was. On the other hand, those at the level of genius are able to recognize their talent and predict that they will score at what they thought the level of mastery was. However, they tend to lack the supreme confidence that was displayed by the incompetent, as shown in the previous graph, and therefore underrate themselves. Dunning and Kruger suggest that this overestimation in the incompetent occurs in part because people who are unskilled in these domains suffer a dual burden. Not only do these people reach incorrect conclusions and make wrong choices, but their incompetence robs them of the metacognitive ability to realize it. As for those who scored in the top quartile, they found the test easy, so they cannot accurately predict the difficulty of the test for those who are not as experienced as they are.
The students in the study were confident on the test but showed little competency on it in the end. This shows how the Dunning-Kruger effect took place in live settings where individuals believed they are strong in a subject or know a topic well but fall short on assessments that are based around the item they thought they knew. This experiment performed by the founders of the effect is the reason why we even know of its existence and its relevance today. In the magazine Psychology Today, an article provides recent instances of the Dunning-Kruger effect in action and of the past. It brings to light this common psychological phenomenon that is occurring all the time now. It provides us with examples that everyone is familiar with, such as Donald Trump, an actor or actress, or an athlete you may know, which can relate to you, the audience.
Another recent article by Dr. Khalid Mahmood has research conducted specifically to test the Dunning-Kruger effect. With many studies done across many decades, we can see that this effect has been happening for a long time, but is only coming to light now due to its relevance in mainstream media. This article explains that test subjects won't think about how much they actually know about a subject in an experiment or on a test, since they want to perceive themselves as better than they actually are. Based on this experiment, the subjects displayed high confidence but low competence, which supports Dunning and Kruger in their results. Now that you are aware of what the Dunning-Kruger effect is, you will be able to recognize it and hopefully be able to distinguish people that are credible from others that are not. Also, you may catch yourself falling victim to it. Unlike IQ, which is genetically linked, this effect comes from the top-down effect, which has to do with how we see and judge ourselves. So you can take a step back and be able to correct yourself, whether it be that you aren't as smart as you think, or that you actually are smart and you are just underrating yourself. Studies have shown that poor performers don't understand that they need to improve because they believe they're performing above average. So to prevent yourself from falling into this trap, always try to improve your skills in any area. Finally, these studies show that the ability to estimate your ranking among your peers can be improved by, again, improving your skills in that area. By doing this, you will be able to see your improvement over time and in turn make better predictions on how you rank. To conclude our presentation, we have this short YouTube video that summarizes up this topic very well.
Hello everyone, let's go back to the year 1995, where a man named MacArthur Wheeler robbed 2 banks in Pittsburgh in the middle of the day with no mask or anything to hide his identity. Now, one would think that this is completely dumb, as surely security cameras would capture his face and people would recognize him. However, Mr. Wheeler believed that rubbing lemon juice all over his face would render him invisible to security cameras, since lemon juice was also used for invisible ink. Of course, it did not, and police were able to catch him later that same day. Wheeler was absolutely shocked that he was arrested and that the lemon juice did not work. This event inspired David Dunning and Justin Kruger to run an experiment to see how something like this happens. They asked undergraduate students to take a series of tests, one on humor, one on grammar, and one on logic. They then asked them to estimate their scores and how well they think they did compared to other students. The researchers found that those who scored the lowest actually had some of the highest estimates of what their scores would be. They thought they were going to do way better than they actually did. Paradoxically, students who knew more about the subjects they were being tested on predicted they would do worse than they actually did. So what's going on here? Well, this is called the Dunning-Kruger effect, and it is when low-skilled individuals think they are a lot better at tasks than they really are. You might have heard about this effect mentioned in the media or on the internet, as people like to use it to insult one another's intelligence and or arrogance. However, we are all victims of the Dunning-Kruger effect, and that's due to the inherent fact that we are all misinformed about our skill levels in some way, shape, or form. Here's an example. Let's imagine you know this much about basketball, and you think that there is this much to know about basketball. You'd probably think you know a lot about the sport, right? In fact, you might be led to believe that you'd score 90% on a task about basketball given what you know and what you think there is to know. Now, let's take a more knowledgeable person about basketball, a college basketball player. They know that there is this much to know about the sport and that they only know this much. See the difference? They know that there is this big area that they don't know about, but it's because they're knowledgeable about the sport that they know that this area exists. They probably believe they'd score 50% on a test about basketball. So, if you compare these two people together in a test where this much knowledge is needed in basketball, this is where you see the Dunning-Kruger effect. Essentially, it's a difference between the people who know what they don't know and the people who don't know what they don't know. And we all suffer from this. How many times have you looked at a task and thought, that looks easy, or were talking about something and thought, I know so much about this, only to be proven very wrong later? Prior to learning more about that task or concept, you were fairly confident because you didn't think that there was that much to know about it. Once you knew more and were properly informed, you then adjusted your confidence based on this new knowledge. But this is not to say that more education can always help you be more realistic about how much you know about a subject. David Dunning has stressed in numerous articles that the point of the Dunning-Kruger effect is that someone is misinformed. If we take poor MacArthur Wheeler from the lemon juice robbery, we can see that he was misinformed about the properties of lemon juice. It can't actually make you invisible. But if he kept being taught more and more about the magical invisibility powers of lemon juice, it would not change the fact that he is learning false information and will still be misinformed. So next time you feel confident that you know something, maybe take a closer look. It could be that you are a victim of the Dunning-Kruger effect and you just don't know what you don't know.